Everyone, welcome. It's Sean from Taekwondo Sean, and today we're covering the Crescent Kick, An Chagi안차기 and Bakkat Chagi. Check it out. Alright, so the Crescent Kick, what's it useful for? What are the applications? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, it's good for sparring. It's not that good for demonstration. Unless in demonstration, you're demonstrating techniques. So you're not necessarily board breaking or doing fancy kicks in the air. You're demonstrating when my opponent, we're doing prearranged motions. He or she punches. I block. And then I can do things to protect myself. So as far as Kyorugi goes, competitive sparring, Crescent Kick is very useful. In Pumse, we use it, so it's good to practice. In self-defense, it's on the fence. As usual, the high kicks, the flashy kicks, I'm not really a big fan of them with self-defense, but if you guys are really good and you feel comfortable, it's really good for dropping someone's guard. So if their guard's up like this, and you Crescent Kick, you'll hook their arm down so that you can nail them with some kind of attack. It's also good for striking the head if you're wearing shoes. However, if the flexibility is not there, or if we're not as comfortable with this kick, it's always good to go with the simple stuff. Front kicks, straight punches. All right, now let's dive in. Let's see what we can do with this kick. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna warm up. Now, one of my favorite warm-ups for this kick is actually doing the kicks over and over again, trying to make big circles. So we're opening up our hips, we're warming up the quads and the hamstring, and we're making sure we're ready to do the Crescent Kick. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to start performing with my assistants inside to outside kicks. So we call this Bakkat Chagi. Good, now as you get warm, you can bring it higher each time. And then if you're also a beginner, it's probably best to start with touching the ground in between each rotation. So from here, touch the ground, up, touch the ground, up, touch the ground, up, touch the ground. Or if you feel more advanced, your balance is good, you can start practicing circles. Good, so once you've done the inside to outside, let's do the outside to inside, the An Chagi. So, good, start small and then build it up, and make sure you guys do both legs. Another good exercise is to do the knee raised shoulder taps. So we're gonna do, so we're gonna bring our knee up to our shoulder. 1, bring our knee up to our shoulder. 2, bring our knee up. 3, 4. So my knee is bent and neutral, and I'm just bringing my knee up to my shoulder. So I'm getting my quads ready, but I'm also getting my hip flexors ready for the kicks that are about to come. All right, so do a couple of sets of those, maybe 12, 20 times, a couple of times, and then you guys are gonna be feeling nice and warm in here and ready for the Crescent Kicks. So what is the Crescent Kick? The An Chagi, the Bakkat Chagi, what's the difference? Well, Bakkat Chagi means to kick outwards, so we're doing inside to outside. An Chagi means to kick inwards, or kicking outside to inside. So what this means is, with my legs here, if I cross my other leg and go like this, I'm covering my body, so we'll call that inside. And then I'm kicking outside. So my leg comes up on the inside to outside. So we call this the Bakkat Chagi. And if you guys are starting away from your body, that's considered the outside, and then you kick so that you cover your body after you're done kicking, that's considered inwards kicks, or An Chagi. So make sure Crescent Kick is one of the only kicks that has 2 variations that are considered the same thing. So make sure you guys are good at both the An Chagi and the Bakkat Chagi, the inward and the outward kick. All right, so let's break down the Crescent Kick. We'll start with the An Chagi, the inward kick, the outside to inside. All right, so we're gonna start with just our knee. So bring your knee up on the outside and bring it in, and put it back down. In, bring it in. So this is a good stretch. Some people call this closing the gate. And then once your legs are warmed up and ready to go, once you get this nice fluid motion going from the outside, you bend and then you extend and then you swing. So 3 steps, bend, extend, swing. So bend, extend, swing. Bend, extend, swing. Bend, extend, swing. All right, make sure you do both legs, and then we're gonna do the Bakkat Chagi. All right, so Bakkat Chagi, same thing, but different. Same, but different. We're gonna go inside, knee bent, and outside. Inside, inside, good. Some people like to lead with their arms, and it helps the kick become more fluid. So now we're going to extend and swing. So ready? Bend, extend, swing. Good. Practice both legs, and then we're ready to move on. Now, one thing to note with the An Chagi, the inner kick, is you want to have your foot muscles engaged behind the strike. So what I mean is in the foot shape. So when we're kicking with the inside of our foot here, we want to turn our foot almost. So we're rotating our ankle so that when I hit, I'm hitting with the inside of my foot, but I also have the muscles behind it engaged so that when it makes the impact, I'm going to have less injury. Because there's nothing worse than not flexing your foot, swinging at the opponent, and then as your foot hits, it hyperextends in the worst way. Okay? Remember, my foot has great mobility forward and backward like this, but side to side, not so much. So make sure when you do the inner kick, my foot is engaged towards the target like this. That way we'll avoid injury, and training Taekwondo could be something we do up to 100 years old and beyond. Instead of just, back when I was young, I used to train Taekwondo. We don't want that, all right? We want to train Taekwondo our whole life through. All right, so let's talk about the benefits of both the An Chagi and the Bakkat Chagi. So the Bakkat Chagi is really good for countering. The Bakkat Chagi is really good after you've thrown a kick with one leg. It comes down, your opponent's charging in for their counterattack, and all you do is raise up the Bakkat Chagi again. And if you're lucky, they're even charging into it, so you don't even have to put that much power into it, and you just got a lot of points. So let's see what it looks like. I'm sparring, I threw my front turning kick, I missed my Abdoyo Chagi, they charge in, and all I do is bring my foot back up. Now I could either use the outside of my foot as a swing and strike them as I'm going across, or if I'm really lucky and the timing is really perfect, I could bring it up and notice they have an opening, an axe kick. That would be awesome. So I throw my kick, boom, I miss, I come back, an axe kick straight ahead. Wouldn't that be something? So Bakkat Chagi is really good in Kyorugi, in competitive sparring, for after you've missed or the opponent dodged it, you come back for the Bakkat Chagi. Now, An Chagi is really good in self-defense because, like I said before, it's really good for taking down someone's guard. So if I'm in some kind of street fighting or MMA or anything like this, and I throw my outside to inside, it might get tangled on one of the guards and push the guard down, and then from there, I'm ready to follow through with some kind of attack, and so the opening is created by me. Now, another way to do it is at the end of a combination. So if I start throwing punches coming in straight and the opponent brings their guard up to the front, they're not going to be able to defend against my outside to inside after a combination. So I'm throwing my straight punches here, they're blocking in the front, getting ready, and then all of a sudden, 1, 2, outside to inside. Now, at the very least, it'll take down their guard again. Or, if I reached in far enough and I was fast enough in good coordination, I could strike their head. Usually, the outside to inside isn't going to knock out the opponent because knockouts usually happen when the heel makes a good solid connection with the jaw or the temple, but the outside of the foot is a little more cushioned. And so if that hits, there'll be damage, but probably not knockout, or maybe there is, maybe you're super lucky. But just be aware of that. So how can we sum this up? Self-defense versus sparring? Well, in self-defense, you don't want it to be flashy. You want it to be quick, you want it to be simple, and you want it to happen in a flash so that your opponent is incapacitated somehow and you're able to get away safely. And then in sparring, it's all about the high kicks, the head kicks, because the head kicks, you have the most points. So when you're doing the inside to outside to inside, you're aiming for the head. As they go for a body kick, you boom, go for the inside to outside. You're able to lean forward in your body with the inside and the outside kick and able to strike the head, and you get more points. Even if their body kick connects, they got 2 points. You just got 3 points. You just got 4 points. You just got 5 points, right? You get more points for head kicks. So if you guys are going for that. Now that's another thing that people are negative about sparring in Taekwondo, is that it's all about foot fencing and blah, 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 blah. But that's another time. Just make sure though that if you are planning on going into competitive sparring, practice these 2 kicks religiously. They're going to be very useful to you in Kyorugi. All right, so the outside to inside and the inside to outside. Practice, practice, practice. All right, so we're going to start our exercises with the single leg squat, the split squat. Now what's really great is because it's a single leg exercise, you're not only going to build the big muscles, the antagonists and the agonists, you're also going to build up the stabilizers. All right, when you guys are doing exercise and you're shaking when you're trying to hold your plank or a boat hold, it's because not the big muscles are weak, but the little muscles that help keep you stable are getting stronger at that point. So the same thing with any single leg exercise, you're going to build up the stabilizers around the big muscles, which are going to help you with your balance and also stabilizing while you're performing kicks. Because Taekwondo like us, Taekwondo practitioners, we spend a lot of time on one leg because we're doing lots of kicks. So make sure we're good in that regard with single leg squats or the split squats. So put your foot on the chair, enter a nice stance, make sure you're flexible, make sure you're balanced, and they go up and then come back down. Go up and then come back down. Make sure you bend your knee enough that you feel a nice squeeze in your glutes and your quads, and then do both sides 12, 20 times and at least 2 sets, and that way you'll be nice and ready for the next exercise, which is, all right, so now that your leg is completely dead from the split squat, let's do something a little more challenging. So we've seen this in P90X actually, a couple of years back I saw it, and I thought it was great for crescent kicks. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna imagine that we're climbing over something like a wall or a chair, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna do inside to outside, Bakkat Chagi, and then outside to inside, An Chagi안차기, and then Bakkat Chagi, An Chagi안차기, Bakkat Chagi, An Chagi안차기, Bakkat Chagi, An Chagi안차기. Good, so you're climbing both feet to the right, both feet to the left, back and forth. All right, now you guys can raise up the challenge. If you have some kind of tower that you can raise up, great. Or if you have something you can stack on top of the chair, great. The main thing is, start low and then build it up so that you're building up the dynamic flexibility, because the great thing about this kick is you don't need to be flexible to kick high with the crescent kick. I myself, my morphology and everything, I'm not flexible. But this kick, I can kick at least my face height, which is great. So practice, 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 because this is a dynamic stretching kick. All right, so practice inside to outside to inside. Going back and forward. Now that we've done exercises, we've done the kick, we've practiced, we're sweating, we're done with this kick, we got to practice some dynamic stretching for this one, not static stretching today. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure the next time we do this kick, number one, the muscles have been stretched, so they're not going to be as tight. And number two, we're able to kick higher, because dynamic stretching is a great thing. So grab your support. It could be a wall, it could be the sofa, it could be this chair, it could be your friend, doesn't matter. Make sure it's the same bubble though. And then you're going to grab your support. You're going to do forward leg swings. All right, so bring your leg up in the front and straight back. Good. Make sure you start low so you don't get hurt. And then build it up, going higher on both sides. And make sure you guys do both legs. All right, and our last stretch is opening and closing the gate, which I think we talked about earlier in the video. So we're going to start with opening the gate. So we're going to start crossing our body like an inside to outside, and we're just going to pull it open to the point where we usually stop, and then pull a little bit further. Start at the closed position, grab the same knee, open. Once you're open to the spot you usually go, try to go a little bit further. All right, so the opening the gate, the benefit is you're able to go a little bit further than you would usually during the kick, so that we're stretching more of the muscles and getting that full mobility of the joint. Part of the great thing about Taekwondo is that you're using your legs and your arms and your body in ways that is not usually engaged throughout the day. So during the day, I'm walking forward, I'm climbing stairs, I'm sitting in a chair, I'm lying in bed. So it's all very forward and backward. But when you're doing this kind of opening and closing the gates, when you're doing the crescent kicks, when you're doing front turning kicks, Chagis, and most of the kicks in Taekwondo, you're engaging your leg muscles and your hips in ways that we don't usually get engaged. So you're going to have a lot of mobility as you get older. Remember, we want to be training at 100. All right, now we got to close the gate too. So like an An Chagi, outside to inside. So start outside, grab the opposite arm this time, and then pull it across to where we usually would go, and then pull just a little bit more. You should feel the nice stretch here in your butt. And across, and pull, just a little bit more. All right, so today we covered the crescent kick, and we covered the An Chagi, the inward kick, and the Bakkat Chagi, the outward kick. We know that it's good for Kyorugi, competitive sparring. We know that it's good for self-defense, if you're comfortable with it. And we know it's also good for demonstration, but not in the usual board-breaking kind of way. More in the pre-prepared, maybe your dojang has a 3-set sparring and 1-set sparring program, the 3번 Kyorugi and the 1번 Kyorugi, where that can be involved like that. But the main thing is, this kick is so useful in so many different ways in Taekwondo. And it's also considered a beginner kick because it's a forward momentum kick. There is some leg swinging, so hip flexors in there. But the main thing is, you don't have to be very flexible to kick high with this kick. And so beginners can actually find a lot of enjoyment from doing this kick and using it as a stepping stone to increase your flexibility in your hips. And that way you guys can level up all your other kicks as well. So make sure you guys practice the Crescent Kick, An Chagi안차기, Bakkat Chagi well. Train hard, and we'll see you guys on the mats. Crescent. Single leg isolated. Core muscles, okay? The stability, what are they called? Stability? Stabilizers.